Bear down, Wildcat Nation. Our Window Depot coverage of U of A basketball continues. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day, a full wrap-up of today's Wildcats contest. Top takeaways, reaction from the players and head coach Tommy Lloyd, plus your thoughts on what you saw. The postgame show is brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived. This is your home for Arizona basketball. Bear down, Wildcat Nation. Our Window Depot coverage of U of A basketball continues. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day, a full wrap-up of today's Wildcats contest. Top takeaways, reaction from the players and head coach Tommy Lloyd, plus your thoughts on what you saw. The postgame show is brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived. This is your home for Arizona basketball. Wildcats Radio 1290.
Mason kicked the ball away, grabbed by Love for the Wildcats, throw it for Lewis, and KJ slams it home for two. Timeout.
All right, a little bit of a crazy ending in Tempe, but the Arizona Wildcats get the win today over the rival Sun Devils, 81-72. I was just going back and watching the replay of the ejection of Caleb Love, which obviously could call into question whether or not he's available for Tuesday night's game. 81-72 is the final. Caleb Love obviously head-butted by B.J. Freeman at the end of the game, or near the end of the game. There were 30 seconds left when the incident occurred, and that's going to be a huge loss if he cannot play on Tuesday. That is a huge loss. They were talking underneath the basket, and B.J. Freeman just went in and with a headbutt, not a hard headbutt, but a head leaning into Caleb, and Caleb kind of fell away and then got up and started talking, and that is where both of them were assessed technical fouls, and the ejections occurred. Kelvin Ifan joins us, as well as J.W. Madden here on the postgame show. And fellas, let's talk about, first of all, the game and the Wildcats. Not all, again, a lot of sloppy passing again, but you're going to maybe get that in a rivalry game when emotions are amped up. I would have liked to have seen the Wildcats take better care of the basketball than they did in this game. But, man, Henry Vasar down the stretch, I think Ryan Hansen had it right, man. The second half of these games, he just figures it out. I think he's kind of – I mean, we heard Toby Walker say in the pregame – is sometimes you got to, as a big, you got to kind of feel these games out early on to see, one, how they're going to be called and some of the things you can do, and then you can go after that. And I think that's what we saw. We're starting to see from Henry. Henry's not a dumb player. He's a very smart ball player, and he quickly figured out today what he was going to be able to do in the second half.
Did you hear the stat?
And was very, very aggressive in doing it.
Did you hear the stat, DK?
I did not.
So Henry Vasar has 39 plus 9 plus 3 plus 11. That's 32 points in the last 4 games. Mm-hmm. 0 first half points in the last 4 games. So what you just said there about him figuring things out in the second half, he's literally scored all of his points in the second half of the last 4 games.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy to think right there. But happy to get out of Tempe Town with a 5th straight win, 5 years in a row. Your Arizona Wildcats have gone up the road and not come back with an L. Let's talk about it. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We'll probably be with you till around 4 o'clock this afternoon, so plenty of time to get in. I should say, Kelvin, what are your thoughts on what you saw today?
First thing, man, you can't, start without talking about the Caleb Love Freeman situation right there. First things first, I'm looking at Caleb's stats, 27, 7, and 6. What he mad about? Right. He's not mad about anything, right? And imagine being BJ and you looking at this guy standing here with this little smile on his face when he's happy. You know how Caleb looks when he's happy. Standing there with that happy smile on his face, and he just ticked off, and he, he headbutts him, and he does catch Caleb in the face. And I know, like I said, I feel like I know exactly what happened there. Caleb, pride got in the way. I know he wanted to punch the guy. I know he wanted to hit him back just for pride. If nobody else was in that gym and they was at Randolph or at any local gym, YMCA,
right.
The girls' club, wherever, you would want to retaliate because you just feel disrespected in front of the other guys, right? And he's the older guy on the team. And so he should have known to be quiet and not to continue to talk. I do feel like the referee looked around a few guys. You hear me, J-Dub? He looked around a few guys to look to see Caleb looking. But I feel like that Caleb was getting pushed away. There was not going to be a fight, right? Caleb was being pushed away. He wasn't escalating anything because his teammates and him were going away from the situation, right? Now, I do understand the ref wanting to get control of the game. He's the same ref that called the tech on Hurley. Mm-hmm. He's the same ref that called the tech on KJ. Who was that, KJ or Bradley?
I think it was Bradley that got the tech early.
He's the same one. So he was a little, quick triggered, right? But yeah, man, I just thought that was just some, tough situation, man. Of course, Caleb should have shut up after you got the first tech. He should have shut up. He's a veteran. He should know better. He should understand how important he is to this team. But I thought after the ref called the tech on both guys, he should have went to the sideline. To the sideline to see exactly what caused it.
Yep.
Caused the situation.
520-848-1290. J-Dub, what did you see on all of that?
With the tech? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Kelvin said it with the refs. And the guy who called the techs, clearly it was his goal in a chippy game to make sure it didn't spill out into some kind of real ugly situation. And I get that. I understand the concept behind that. I'm not so sure about that ending as far as the way the officials handled it because of what Kelvin said. There wasn't going to be actual fisticuffs there. We don't know. The real detail we haven't really talked about is we don't know what was said, right? And the ref, if you go back and watch it, there was a ref standing right there. So whatever was said between those two players was heard by that ref. The biggest takeaway I have from the game overall, guys, is 37% shooting for both teams. So both teams combined, you add up all the makes for ASU and all the makes for the Wildcats, all their attempts, they combined to shoot 37% from the field. So as far as getting your money's worth from a fan perspective, there was not a lot of great shooting involved. I think anything goes, man. It's such a cliche that when you get two teams that have a 80, 90, 100-year history between the two programs. They play twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. There's bad blood on the benches, the coaching staffs. Hurley's been there 10 years. Obviously, a lot of the Arizona Wildcat people around the building and McHale have let those young players know what this rivalry means. So there's elevated energy. I mean, it's not quite, Kelvin and the ASU players on the football side of things is a little bit rougher. But guys, I mean, that's a squad that came in 4-12, 4-15. Right. What's Hurley against Arizona? I mean, they just won a very, a close game at Colorado. They're trying to turn their season around. They're trying to get a signature win in their own building. They're, guess what? Sick of McHale North. They're sick of having Arizona fans come in and take over their building. Hurley had comments about Iowa State fans taking over that building. So all that, combined, the elevated tension, elevated emotional levels, I wasn't surprised that there were technical fouls called. I'm not sure that's exactly the best way to handle the end. And we'll get into how Hurley handled the very end of that game as well, I'm sure. Kind of marred what I thought was a competitive, physical, tough-minded game. Both teams competing really hard. I didn't see it turning into a fight, Kelvin. Well, those guys don't fight.
No, you're right. But I'll say this, man. If you know your guys, the guys that you recruited, he got some feisty guys on that team, man. And he had to get them because the Big 12 to compete in there.
You know why? Because he is feisty. Right? He's like, exactly. Coaches like dogs, owners start to look like they're dogs. I mean, players start to look like they're coaches. Okay. And Bobby Hurley's about as feisty as it gets.
So Bobby understood himself. And he understands those young men, and you don't want to put those guys in a situation where they can do something to embarrass themselves or get themselves expelled from the game. So I'd rather be the bad guy and tell my guys to go. It's no disrespect to some. These guys, I ain't gonna say are friends, but they have working relationships. They're gonna be fine when they see themselves at the Coastal Association or at the Big 12 meeting or whatnot. But Hurley know his guys on the sideline. Like I said, I can say this. I know I got our guys from the U of A. I know those guys. And guess what? They all would have just shook hands. Everything would have been cool. They wasn't gonna do anything, right? But Coach Hurley know his guys. And he may felt like something could happen because they're all disappointed that they just lost a tight game that they know they should have been.
Again, another game in which they were in it, with 4 or 5 minutes to go and just got beat up down the stretch.
Yeah. So I'm not making any excuses for him, man. But at the end of the day, you know your guys, and it only takes one guy.
One knucklehead. One guy that's a sore loser. Yeah.
That just don't know how to take it. And I'm glad when I was a kid, I had good coaches that turned me away sometimes and said, because you know what? We did shake hands, and sometimes the coach just took me away. Because he knew I was hurt, because I needed it. I needed every win. It really mattered to me. Some of those guys, they feel like they just lost the opportunity to play in the NBA. You don't understand how mentally challenging a loss like that could be for you, right? When it's all getting pubbed up, the Arizona State versus Arizona, you don't really know what it's about. Now you in that game, and you done played your heart out. That's what's getting overshadowed. Arizona State played their heart out.
Yeah.
That's the bad thing about the headbutt from Freeman. Because he initiated that. Love did not do that. Love ain't known for that. I don't know if this kid is known for that, because guess what? I don't know this team like Hurley do. But I know Love. And Love hasn't been into that. He gets the smiling, and he gets to having the little smug look and the little chirpy whatever. But that's everybody. Right? But that 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists will get your head butted. Don't look at me like that after you just beat me and you just done me like that. Don't do that to me, bro. Right? Come on, man. Yeah. Anybody that play basketball, I understand as a casual fan, oh, no, that's just ridiculous. But
I think the best point you made,
as a person play basketball, you don't smear it in my face like that.
Right.
Caleb should have stepped away right there, right, J-Dub?
Yeah, I think the best point you made is that we don't know. We don't know those players. We don't know those players like Hurley knows those players. So whatever decision was made there at the end was based on his understanding of who's on his team.
Well, apparently Bobby Hurley in his post-game press conference had some interesting things to say. We will effort that video for you to let you hear what he had to say. I'll quote you one of the things that came out of Bobby Hurley's post-game press conference. He apparently said, "I can tell you this. I do get a vote for the Big 12 All-Conference, and I can tell you who's not getting my vote." That is one of the things that Bobby Hurley said in his post-game press conference today. So a lot to get to on this edition of Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day after an 81-72 win for the Wildcats over the Sun Devils. If you were at the game, if you're headed back from the game, give us a call. Let us know what you thought. 520-848-1290. We'll review our keys to the game, our best bets, give you our Window Depot glass cleaner of the game. Several good choices on that today, as well as update you on what's happening on the college basketball scoreboard. With Kelvin Efon and J.W. Madden, I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
A Window Depot coverage of the Wildcats rolls on. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day postgame show on Wildcats Radio 1290. Now, back to your hosts, David Kelly, the captain, Kelvin Evon, and J.W. Madden.
Bradley will lay it up and good. Arizona up 81-72, 35 seconds left. Sun Devils now need some more quick threes. Pass to Quinn, it's tipped out of bounds. Arizona fans feeling something right now. This game's not over yet. So
double technical foul coming. One on Caleb Love, one on Freeman, and they just threw out Caleb Love.
That was Brian Jeffries and Ryan Hansen's call of the incident that happened near the end of the game in the final 1 minute of play. Caleb Love ejected from the ball game, and Brian Jeffrey saying on the postgame show that under rule, he would be ineligible to play in the game on Tuesday night at BYU. So if the rule is the rule, then the Wildcats are going to go into a very tough road environment without their best player. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We've got some phone calls to take. Let's get right to an Arizona basketball alum and legend from the 1970s. Pleased to be joined by one Mr. Bob Elliott. Bob, welcome to the postgame show.
Hey, guys. Welcome. Thanks for having me on here, DK, Calvin, and J-Dub. You know, with the end of that game, three things. Number one, I did text Tommy after the game and said, hey, great W, and it's always a better W when we beat ASU.
You got that right.
Number two, Caleb has to understand, I don't care what somebody does to you during the game. I don't care what they say to you during the game. You mean more to this team being on the floor than not on the floor. My junior year, when we played in the NCAA tournament, first time Arizona won an NCAA tournament game, a Georgetown player went up to Al Fleming and spit in his face. But Al realized he need to stay on the floor in the game. You don't retaliate. Teams will come after you sometimes because they're trying to get you kicked out. If you mean that much to your team, I don't care what they do, what they say, you don't lose it. Then number three, at the end of the game, the way ASU did, hey, DK, you were at our fireside chat with Julius Dr. J. Irvin.
Correct.
And we played a clip and talked about, Julius and I, about that first year in the NBA. They lost in the finals to the Portland Trail Blazers to Bill Walton. And he comes in the locker room and tells the Sixers, we're going to go over to the other side and congratulate those guys. And World B. Free said, I'm from Brooklyn. I want to fight. And Julius said, no, it is the right thing to do. And they all followed him over to the Celtics locker room. No, so the Portland locker room and congratulated those guys. Sportsmanship seems to be losing. What we're doing now in sports, it needs to come back. Those are my three things.
Spoken from a guy that has been there and done it, and absolutely, I think. And again, you know, you look at obviously, you know, the generation that you came from, Bob, and things have changed so much in the last 50 years, and the way, you know, kids approach the game and the way that they approach each other. And you would think, again, and a lot of this was led by the coaches, because I think if Bobby Hurley doesn't walk off and doesn't pull his guys off the floor, maybe that happens. What do you think? What do you say though to the mentality that, look, I don't want to escalate this any further? That's probably, we're going to hear what he had to say later, but maybe that being the reason that he pulled his kids off was, I don't want to go through that line and something else happen now.
I don't buy that, DK. I think that if you know your team is, hey, it's a rivalry game, you know everybody's emotional, it's hot, you pull your team together,
okay,
and tell them, just like Julius said he did, it is the right thing to do. It was a hard-fought game. We're going to congratulate them. They got on top this time. See you next time.
Yeah.
Let me
to walk off, yeah, it doesn't work.
No, you're totally right, and I don't agree with it. But I will say this, though. In this new day and age, it's not like back in the day, first of all, because you don't know those guys like that. You only been coaching most of these guys 3 months. So if you know you've been in practice with these guys and they just pop off and they've had fights and everybody knows this happens at practice. I mean, and I disagree with you a little bit about back in the day, because it used to be fights. I grew up watching that. That's kind of what had me messed up. That had me messed up a little bit because I grew up, you had to fight for it. So, and that was watching you guys and watching Indiana coach Bob. It was Bobby Knight on the sideline.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think it's a little turned down since your time now, because I've seen Julius Erving put paws on people.
Well, ever since the Malice at the Palace,
during
right?
the game.
Oh, okay.
But see, during the game,
Okay, in between the
it's
lines.
different. In between the lines, if there's still time on the clock, you're a competitor. Hey, I done got kicked out of games for fighting. I ain't gonna sit there and act like I ain't
Yes,
fought
sir.
during the
Yes,
game.
sir.
But at the end of the game,
Shake hands. Yep.
it says 0-0-0 on the clock. Game over. You either won or you lost. And if you won, doesn't mean to sit there and put it in their face that way either.
Right.
But if you lose, you be the better competitor. But you always leave with something to think about. Okay, y'all got us today. You're not going to get us next time.
Yes, sir.
Great thoughts.
Oh, yeah, no. During the game, hey, Kelvin, you and I both know. Practice, shoot, games,
Right.
shoot. Like I said, I ain't going to say I never got kicked out of a game. I done got kicked out of a game in junior high, high
Right.
school, college, and pro, okay?
Yes, sir.
I done ran the Grand Slam. But that's during the game. You fighting, you clawing, you're doing what you're doing. It is what it is. But in the game's over.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I just, again, man, I know I've coached some emotional kids, and the guys, they may be in a little trouble at school.
Oh, yeah.
You know where you recruited them from a lot of the time, so you know who you're dealing with, and it don't look good to tell one or two guys to go to the locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you tell everybody, hey, and then you hope, you take the heat. You take the heat from, the opposing whoever, fans and whoever else. But, that was a very heated war. Like I said, Arizona State, I thought Freeman, the guy that did the headbutt, of course, Caleb Love got a lot to lose there. Come on now. Like I said, like I know, that 27-7-6 was so disrespectful. That's going to make people want to put paws on you. You got to know that. So you kind of got to play it cool. You got to be on the humble. You know that, right? You got to be on the humble, because if not, God's going to try to put you in your place. That's just, I don't care where you at. That's going to happen. And that kid, BJ Freeman, forgot where he was for a second, right?
But see, that's on him.
Right.
You don't let him get to you.
You turn and walk away.
27-7-6. Oh, yeah, you done already made your statement.
Right, exactly.
And the second part of it is, look up there. Look at the scoreboard. What's it say?
Sir. And that may be what he was saying when he was walking away. But tell me this. The tech where 5 guys is pushing him away. 5 guys, they're going toward their bench. The referee looks around a couple guys, and I know people might not, but I'm saying what I saw. And go look at it for yourself. The referee looked around a few guys and saw Caleb Love still chirping as his teammates pushed him away. What's threatening about that?
Hey, well, you know what? That by itself, I agree with you, but what if there was stuff all during the game? So we don't know that.
Well,
Had the official already said to him a couple times, okay, stop the talking.
Okay.
Stop the talking.
And that's
or I'm going to hit you.
That's apparently what Bobby Hurley said afterward. It was that the Wildcat players were chirping a lot in the moments before that whole thing went down as they were beginning to pull away. So I'll be interested again to hear what Coach Hurley had to say after that. Bob, we were talking about Caleb's shot from Monday, and it brought up to conversation about great shots at McHale, and we understand you had a buzzer beater to beat Kansas State back in the day. Tell us about that moment.
Freshman year, and my guy I was guarding scored and tied the game. We got about 7 seconds left, and Coach drew up a play, because a lot of times, even though I was playing center, he'd have me bring up the ball. So he says, inbound to Bobby. You got on the wings, you got Rappas and you got Money. And on the baseline, you got Fleming and Norman. You can penetrate, kick to somebody, whatever. Now, here's the problem with an 18-year-old. All I heard was inbound the ball to Bobby. And my guy scored the last bucket.
It's on.
It's on. I'm gonna fix this. So I take a couple dribbles over half court, and I actually give credit to my junior high school coach, because you know how them junior high school gyms are, where you got a roof that's got them triangles up the top.
Yeah.
he used to make us shoot from the top of the key. You had to shoot it through the triangle and make the bucket because he said he was trying to prove a point. The more arc you put on the ball, the better chance the ball goes in the rim versus shooting a line drive. So when I took 2 dribbles, I'm like, this ain't number junior high drill. Let it go.
Let it go and went in, and that's history.
It's done. You know, that's what happens when a coach lets the 18-year-old make a decision.
He knew what he was doing. He knew something. He knew something. That's knowing your guys, though. That's what I'm just talking about as well. He knew his guy. He recruited you. He brought you in. I mean, to have a big guy as a freshman that you trust to bring the ball down the court, that says something anyway, during this time. But it was smart because usually the other big man can't play full court defense versus, just the ball handling big. So it's just smart understanding how to invert, your players and putting people in advantages in situations to be effective.
Yeah, now thinking back, I don't think we ever ran that play again. So I think coach is like, "No, you might have got one shot off on me. You're not gonna get another one."
Oh yeah, to get control.
There we go. Hey, Bob.
But no, you know what? I hate to see things like that, like the end of today's game. And again, Caleb has to understand what he means to this Arizona basketball team. And he cannot put himself in a position to hurt all of us, the team and the program, if he's not on the floor because he's chirping or talking or whatever. You can't do that. You've got to look at the big picture. Caleb means more to this roster than the kid from ASU.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. Hey, Bob, I want to get you back on maybe later this week so we can talk a little bit more about the Julius Erving event and everything that came out of that.
Sounds good. Yeah, that was unbelievable. Julius set the tone. People came thinking it was going to be a, hey, Dr. J, how'd you get those moves?
Right.
And Julius started out the whole program, DK, as you know, and he said, I'm the only living member of my 5 people in my immediate family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And right away, everybody realized, number one, you heard sniffling going on, like people started crying. But they realized this is going to be a talk about life.
Exactly.
And I love the way that, we had a couple of high school teams out there. We had a couple of middle school teams and some elementary school teams. And he was talking to those kids. He was leaving them all a little nugget to think about as they progress and try to get better in basketball, in school, and in life.
It was something for sure. I mean, a really, really great event. I know you guys. I know they were. Is there video where people can see that? I know that you guys filmed it.
Yeah. So our communications partner is Cox Communications. They filmed the entire program. They are editing it so that we can put it on our website.
Awesome.
But they're also putting together like a 3-minute synopsis of it that they can use not only in Tucson but nationally in the Cox Communications network.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely keep people apprised when that is available because it's definitely a conversation that I think a lot of people would love to see, for sure.
Yeah, it was good. It was great for the community, great for Tucson, and great for the basketball and just life. I mean, it was good. But hey, guys, like I said, when I saw it in that game, I'm like, it just brought so many emotions for me up about, first of all, we got the W.
Yeah.
Which is where you start. Number 2 is Caleb. No, buddy. No, little bro. You cannot do that. You mean too much to us. And 3 is, hey, keep in mind, there's going to be other games where we end up on the other side of that scoreboard.
Right.
Act a certain way. Act like you have class.
Mm-hmm. Bob, always appreciate your great thoughts.
Thank you. Guys. Y'all keep doing what you do.
Definitely. You have a great rest of your weekend. Bob Elliott, U of A basketball class of 1977, one of the members of the famed Kitty Corps, recruited by the legendary Fred Snowden out of Detroit, Michigan, or at least the areas around Detroit, Michigan, including Ann Arbor. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Let's get in another break. We'll come back. We'll take more of your calls after an 81-72 Wildcats win over the Sun Devils in Tempe, and they finished the first half of this Big 12 season with a record of 9-1. 9-1 through the first 10 games in this new conference. Along with Kelvin Ifan and JW Madden, I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.